Our last division of the Italian Baroque is Baroque Classicism. This is a direct continuation from the Renaissance, where artists continue to look back to classical models and classical stories for their inspiration. Annibale Carracci and his brothers founded a successful career in painting ceilings that are inspired by Michelangelo's Sistine ceiling. And the Loves of the Gods is a good example of this. Like Michelangelo, they have a large vaulted space that they have to fill with images. And like Michelangelo, they've divided that into smaller spaces or smaller panels, in this case using faux picture frames, and then also filled the space with trompe-l'oeil or illusionistic sculptures and statues. So a lot of this is very similar to things that we've seen looking back to the Renaissance and to the 16th century. And where parts of the Baroque, Caravaggio and his naturalism are very transgressive, they're breaking boundaries, they're showing things exactly as they are, dirt, warts, and all, Baroque classicists tend to stay focused on a more idealized view. So even though this fresco was in the house of a cardinal, we see different stories from the Greek gods and goddesses. And if we go on to the next slide and look closely at the central image, this is named after this central panel called the Loves of the Gods. And we see the gods Bacchus and Ariadne being escorted, each in their own chariot, to their lover's bed. So on the surface, it seems like this topic and the subject could be kind of racy. We have a couple going to bed together. We see a bacchanalia. People are drinking and dancing and partying. But on closer examination, it's fairly tame. That while the figures are nude in many cases, they are still largely covered or hidden. So if we look at the reclining female nude in the bottom corner, we can see that she's draped from the waist down. We can't see her genitals. We see her arm crossing across her chest, so her breasts are partially hidden. Similarly, the dancing faun that we see next to her is totally nude, but he's turned in such a way that we can't see his genitalia. Similarly, the seated figure of Bacchus here has a knee drawn up to hide his genitalia. So while there is theoretical sex and theoretical raciness here, this classical style tends to be more conservative and more socially acceptable than Caravaggio's brash, exciting, more naturalistic style. Overall, all three of these styles, spectacle, naturalism, and classicism, occur together. They occur at the same time, and they give us our modern interpretation of the Baroque as dramatic, over the top, and still bringing along some of that classical influence from the Renaissance. But as we look to other countries and other parts of Europe, we can see that this Baroque influences vary slightly over the 17th century, something we'll talk about more next time.